Most English learners think a walk in the park is simple. But today, something unexpected happens. Let's see if you can understand this story. Listen carefully and enjoy. Hello and welcome to the Rocket English Podcast. My name is Alex, and I'm very happy you're here today. In this episode, you will listen to a relaxing English story called A Walk in the Park. All right, let's begin. This morning started quietly. It was a calm and peaceful Sunday morning, and the sunlight was slowly filling the room through the window. I woke up a little earlier than usual, around 7 o'clock. For a moment, I stayed in bed, listening to the sounds outside. Birds were singing in the trees. Somewhere in the distance, I could hear a dog barking and a bicycle passing on the street. It felt like the perfect morning to go outside. So I decided to go for a walk in the park. Near my apartment, there is a beautiful park. It is not very large, but it has tall trees, green grass, small walking paths, and a peaceful lake in the middle. Many people from the neighborhood come there to relax, exercise, or simply enjoy nature. After getting dressed, I made myself a cup of coffee. The warm smell of coffee filled the kitchen. While drinking it, I looked outside again. The sky was clear and blue. The weather looked perfect for a walk. So I put on my shoes, grabbed my jacket, and left the apartment. The air outside was fresh and cool. The streets were quiet because most people were still at home. As I walked toward the park, I could see the sunlight shining on the leaves of the trees. When I reached the park entrance, I stopped for a moment. There was a large wooden sign that said, "Welcome to Riverside Park." I stepped inside and began walking slowly along the main path. The park was already alive with activity. Some people were jogging, others were walking their dogs. A few elderly people were sitting on benches, talking and enjoying the morning sun. The grass was still wet with morning dew. When the sunlight touched it, the tiny drops of water looked like little diamonds. It was a beautiful sight. I continued walking along the path. The park had many small trails that went through trees and gardens. Some paths were paved with stone, and others were covered with soft gravel. Walking there felt relaxing and peaceful. Soon I reached the lake in the center of the park. The water was calm and smooth like glass. A few ducks were swimming slowly near the edge. From time to time, one of them would dive under the water and disappear for a few seconds before coming back up. Children love watching the ducks. In fact, as I stood near the lake, I noticed a little boy with his father. The boy was holding a small bag of breadcrumbs. Carefully, he threw a few pieces into the water. Immediately, the ducks swam toward him. "Look, Dad," the boy said excitedly. "They're coming." His father laughed and nodded. "Yes," he said, "they're always hungry." I smiled as I watched them. Moments like this make the park feel warm and friendly. After a few minutes, I continued walking around the lake. On the other side of the water, there was a wooden bridge. It was a small bridge, just wide enough for people to walk across. When I stepped onto the bridge, I stopped again. From there, the view of the park was wonderful. Tall trees surrounded the lake. Their branches moved gently in the morning breeze. The reflection of the trees in the water made the lake look even bigger. For a moment, everything felt quiet and peaceful. But then something unusual happened. Suddenly, I heard a loud splash. At first, I thought one of the ducks had jumped into the water, but when I looked closer, I saw something moving in the middle of the lake. It wasn't a duck, it was a dog. A large golden dog was swimming in the lake, chasing a bright red ball. The dog paddled through the water energetically. Behind him, on the shore, a young woman was calling his name. "Max! Max! Come back!" The dog ignored her and continued swimming happily. A few seconds later, he reached the ball, grabbed it with his mouth, and started swimming back toward the shore. People nearby began laughing. When the dog climbed out of the water, he shook his body. Water splashed everywhere. The woman laughed too. "Well," she said, "I guess he really loves swimming." Watching this made the morning even more enjoyable. Sometimes, small, unexpected moments make a simple walk much more interesting. I continued my walk through the park. The path now led through a small garden area. There were colorful flowers everywhere. Red roses, yellow tulips, purple lavender. The smell of flowers mixed with the fresh air. Bees and butterflies moved from flower to flower. Nature was busy and alive. As I walked slowly through the garden, I realized something important. Sometimes we move through life too quickly. We rush from place to place, from task to task, from meeting to meeting. But when you slow down and take a simple walk in the park, you notice things you normally miss. The sound of birds, the movement of the trees, the laughter of children, the peaceful rhythm of nature. These small moments remind us to relax and breathe. After about 20 minutes of walking, I found a quiet bench under a large oak tree. I sat down and took a deep breath. From that bench, I could see people walking, jogging, and enjoying their morning. A man was walking his dog. Two friends were talking while drinking coffee. A group of runners passed by, moving quickly along the path. Everyone seemed to be enjoying the fresh air, and in that moment, I felt grateful. Grateful for the peaceful park, grateful for the beautiful morning, and grateful for the chance to slow down and enjoy the day. After sitting on the bench for a few minutes, I decided to continue walking. The path in front of me led deeper into the park, toward an area with taller trees and fewer people. This part of the park always felt quieter and more peaceful. The trees there were older and larger, with thick trunks and wide branches that created cool shade on the ground. As I walked along the path, I could hear the soft crunch of gravel under my shoes. The sunlight filtered through the leaves above me, creating patterns of light and shadow on the path. A gentle breeze moved through the trees, making the leaves rustle softly. Moments like this make walking in nature incredibly relaxing. Soon I noticed something interesting ahead of me. Near a large tree, an elderly man was standing with a small wooden box. Next to him was a table with several small jars and notebooks. At first, I wasn't sure what he was doing, but as I walked closer, I saw that he was watching birds through a pair of binoculars. The wooden box on the table contained birdseed. Next to it were small signs with pictures of different birds. Curious, I slowed down and approached the table. The man noticed me and smiled kindly. "Good morning," he said. "Good morning," I replied. "Are you watching the birds?" I asked. "Yes," he said with enthusiasm. "I come here every Sunday morning to observe them." He pointed toward a nearby tree branch. "Look over there," he said. On the branch sat a small bird with bright blue feathers. "That's a blue jay," the man explained. They are very intelligent birds. I looked carefully and watched the bird for a moment. It hopped from one branch to another and then flew away gracefully. That's amazing, I said. The man nodded. Birds are fascinating creatures, he continued. They teach us patience and observation. He showed me one of his notebooks. Inside were pages filled with notes and small sketches of birds. I've been coming to this park for more than 20 years, he said proudly. Every week I write down which birds I see. That kind of dedication impressed me. It reminded me that parks are not just places for exercise. They are also places for learning and discovery. After thanking the man for sharing his knowledge, I continued walking along the path. The park was becoming more active now. More people were arriving. Families with children were walking together. Joggers passed by with headphones and water bottles. Cyclists rode carefully along the bike path. The atmosphere felt lively and energetic. Soon I reached another part of the park that I had always enjoyed. There was a large open field where people often played sports. A group of teenagers were playing soccer. They ran quickly across the grass, laughing and shouting as they passed the ball to each other. Nearby, a couple was practicing yoga on colorful mats. They moved slowly and calmly, focusing on their breathing and balance. Watching different people enjoy the park in their own way made the place feel vibrant and full of life. Everyone had their own reason for being there. Some came to exercise, some came to relax, and others simply came to enjoy nature. As I continued walking, I noticed a small path that led toward a garden area I had never explored before. Curious, I decided to follow it. The path was narrow and lined with bushes and flowers. Butterflies fluttered from plant to plant. The smell of fresh flowers filled the air. Soon I discovered a hidden corner of the park. In the center of this small garden stood a beautiful fountain. Water flowed gently from the top, creating a soft, soothing sound. Around the fountain were several wooden benches and flower beds filled with colorful plants. This place felt almost magical. It was quiet and peaceful, like a secret garden hidden inside the park. I sat down on one of the benches and watched the water flowing in the fountain. For a few minutes, everything felt calm and still. Then I noticed someone sitting on the bench across from me. It was a young woman reading a book. She looked up and smiled politely. "Beautiful morning, isn't it?" she said. "Yes, it really is," I replied. "Do you come here often?" she asked. "Sometimes," I said, "but today I decided to explore a little more." She nodded. "This garden is my favorite place in the park," she said. "When I want to think or relax, I come here." We talked for a few minutes about the park and how peaceful it felt. Then she closed her book and stood up. "Well," she said with a smile, "enjoy the rest of your walk." "You too," I replied. As she walked away, I realized something. Even small conversations with strangers can brighten your day. The park is not only a place to connect with nature, it's also a place to connect with people. After resting for a while, I stood up and began walking again. The sun was now higher in the sky. The park was fully awake. Children were playing near the playground. Dogs were running happily across the grass. Music from a street performer echoed gently through the air. Near the main path, a man was playing a guitar. A small group of people had gathered around him, listening to the melody. His music created a warm and joyful atmosphere. I stopped for a moment to listen. The melody was soft and relaxing, perfectly matching the peaceful morning. Sometimes unexpected moments like this make a simple walk unforgettable. Eventually, I realized that almost an hour had passed since I entered the park. It was time to head back home. As I walked toward the park exit, I took one last look around. The trees, the lake, the flowers, and the people all created a beautiful scene. The walk had started as a simple plan to get some fresh air, but it had turned into something much more meaningful. A peaceful moment, a learning experience, and a reminder that slowing down can help us appreciate the world around us. By the time I left the park, I felt refreshed and energized, ready to start the rest of my day. And that was the story, A Walk in the Park. I hope you enjoyed listening and practicing English with this story. Listening to English stories is a wonderful way to improve your vocabulary, your listening skills, and your confidence. Even a short walk in the park can become a great opportunity to practice English. Now I have a question for you. Do you enjoy walking in the park? Or maybe you prefer the beach, the mountains, or the city? Write your answer in the comments. I'd love to read what you think. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to like the video and subscribe so you never miss a new English listening story. Thank you so much for listening. And remember, this is the place where your English takes off. See you in the next episode of the Rocket English Podcast.